Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos. Doggone it. My name is John Boy. I'm your host, John Francis Fahey. You've heard of the four tops. Well, here's the three bottoms. I'm joined by Aaron Joseph Pita and handsome Matt Brousseau.
Hi.
Hello,
Who the fuck
boys.
are those guys?
What's going on?
Hey, just want to say rest in piss to Piss Pistofferson,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
the legend, country legend, a.k.a. Whistler from the Blade motion picture franchise.
That's right.
Mm.
You know, just a good old guy, white guy, saving a young black vampire orphan from the streets.
It happens.
Making him a daywalker.
Yep.
With the serum.
Yeah.
We also lost Skeet Blows.
Oh, Pete Rose.
That's right.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. My brother said, how much you want to bet they're going to do a fucking 3-hour retrospective documentary with ads for sports gambling interspersed with no irony whatsoever.
I know.
I was like, that's pretty good, Andrew.
Yeah,
Keep it with the joke.
every fucking sports show now is now like, now to the
DraftKings!
Gambling Corner with Jim.
No, Talmo was saying that in his little thing on Instagram today. He's like, put him in the hall. He's like,
He's dead now. They will. He'll be first ballot.
yeah.
Well, they never put Shoeless Joe in.
Well, have they seen Field of Dreams?
I guess he doesn't need to go. You're right.
Yeah, he got into a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better.
He's
He got to hang out with James Earl
Played by
Jones.
Ray Liotta. Good guys. Good guys.
Yeah, but Pete Rose is the hit. He's fucking, Johnny Hustle. He's the hit king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's fucking Shoeless Joe the king of?
Well,
Porn?
he did have 3,000 hits.
Whatever.
Lifetime 300
Now, meanwhile, tomorrow, I was telling Matt, tomorrow,
Yeah.
October 1st, Jimmy Carter turns 100.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's going to make it to November. He's going to cast a ballot.
Crazy.
In Georgia. Where
And
it
that's
matters.
illegal.
Yeah, I mean,
He probably
He
didn't
can vote
remember.
early. He can probably vote early.
I don't think he's remembered to fill out his registration.
He's got people.
yeah, it'd be crazy to be his Secret Service detail right now where he's just always in a bed, like fucking Uncle Joe
From
Willy
Charlie and
Wonka. Yeah. He's just always in a
Show
bed.
a golden ticket. He's going to fucking spring right out of there.
Imagine somebody came in and shot him now.
Still miss.
100 years old.
Yeah. Well, knowing the Secret Service, they would accidentally shoot him while
Yeah.
showing their gun off to a lady
about
or
to be
something.
some shut up, motherfucker. Gentlemen, here we are concluding the Barnum saga.
Uh-huh.
You excited about this?
Yeah.
Quite.
So we talked a little bit last time about his career in politics. Like I said, he was mayor of Bridgeport for a while. They said, when he ran, he might pull out some stops, make some moves, promotional type things that might not be totally on board. But when he was serving as a politician, they said he really comported himself and handled it with much dignity and grace. And they say that he was kind of a believer in the citizen politician thing that the founders kind of had going on, and he was really diligent about it, even though he had some harebrained stuff like stopping contraceptives and things like that, which would go on to be famously disastrous in Romania years later. But he also now is, like I said, after the third fire, he's going to
The third fire of his museum in Manhattan.
correct. That he's not going to rebuild, and he tries to take some time to chill out and go fishing and stuff like that, and he realizes pretty soon that he just can't stop,
This fishing's fucking boring.
Yeah.
Unless I pull out a merman, put him in my museum.
So he goes into the circus game, and he's still really good about attracting different acts. And, keeping the whole thing moving, of course, in keeping it to the railroads to make distance between the bigger cities faster. But then, the unloading of it all with the animals and all that. They say he was probably the first one to own his own train.
That's an elephant.
Yeah. And during that time, I think one of his last great...
Must have been pretty cool, though. Like, you're a kid and you see a giraffe going by, head sticking out of a boxcar.
Yeah. It's a pole. Bonk.
No, you remember
Free giraffe head.
That's right. Yeah, put it on your wall.
Yep.
You remember his great promotions, starting with the 167-year-old woman,
Of course.
The 6 of many.
all the way to Zip the Pinhead, of course.
Mhm.
Tom Thumb,
Mhm.
General Tom Thumb,
General Tom
and
Thumb,
Colonel
Commodore
Nut.
Nut,
Yeah,
Commodore Peanut.
And the love triangle.
and the love triangle with Lavinia, the beautiful, beautiful Lavinia, and yeah, it's so one of the things he got that he was surprised that he could get was Jumbo the elephant for the circus.
What was special about Jumbo?
Jumbo was just fucking gigantic, just absolutely huge. 6 tons. 6 tons. 10 foot high, 13 feet long.
Asian elephant.
Let me see here. Dumbo was actually born around Christmas Day, 1860, in Sudan.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Mother killed by poachers, and eventually found her way to Paris, and then eventually the London Zoo, where it's going a little stir crazy, ground her tusks down and stuff like that.
Yeah, they probably put her in like a tiny enclosure.
And it's not her, it's his.
Mm.
His keeper was Matthew Scott, who wrote an autobiography, extremely, extremely close, and with the elephant. And basically, the superintendent of the zoo in 1882 was willing to let Jumbo go, and Barnum was very surprised. Had always inquired, but it was.
I gotta clean up all this shit every day. You
Yeah.
don't know how much piss and shit come out of this Jumbo thing. You know?
Yeah, it really doesn't, and it doesn't appreciate this little
No.
fake environment we have for it.
You gotta get the shit needs its own caboose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every time it shits, its environment gets smaller.
But the superintendent was worried about the increasing aggression from Jumbo, and was worried that there might be something that's going to happen. But like thousands of children had been on top of the elephant, and it was really beloved by London and Queen Victoria and everybody. So quite an outrage.
Getting rid of them.
Yeah, they like the royals came out and were like, "Don't do this," just for £2,000, about 10 grand.
That's less than the thing weighs.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal back then.
100,000 children wrote to the Queen, asking the Queen to intervene to save Jumbo.
Jumbo.
Sorry, Jumbo.
Yeah.
The Morning Post in 1882, editorial John Ruskin of the Zoological Society said, "I, for one of the said fellows, am not in the habit of selling my old pets or parting with my old servants because I find them subject occasionally, perhaps even periodically, to fits of ill temper. And I not only regret the proceedings of the council, but disclaim them utterly as disgraceful to the city of London and dishonorable to common humanity." So they were really kind of flipping out about it,
Even the servants I don't let leave.
Barnum made his money back in 3 weeks with Jumbo. Madison Square Garden, just in the 3 rings. And
Check out this fucking thing. It's huge.
Jumbo was one of the famous first crossers of the Brooklyn Bridge to show that it was safe.
Pretty good. Yeah,
Pretty cool.
They had like a little metal sign that said like one elephant at a time.
Yeah. It's if Jumbo can do it, your mom can cross it.
Exactly.
Maybe.
So they have the circus on the road, and Barnum is just happy to kind of get the show on the road and not really go himself. Even though a lot of people actually want to see it, like I said, later on Barnum would become kind of like the most sought after exhibit himself, and it would even just be like him riding around and waving in a carriage.
I'm 170 years old.
No, he didn't get that old.
Okay.
But I believe in 1883, Charity died. And like I said, Charity was very kind of, with the vapors and, the melancholy and the, I need my fresh air and all that stuff. Basically was like wishing to be dead for like the last 17 years of her life.
Yeah.
So
he's dragging her around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is his last great exhibit.
When it happened, he was in London and he was staying with friends. And I guess he was spending a lot of time in particular with one of his friend's daughters. That was...
Because she was tiny, right?
Yeah.
She was just right.
Oh,
So
no.
he was about 64 and she was about 24.
Oh, no.
And him and her got it on, Daddy.
No, they didn't.
They did 3 months after Charity died.
Well,
They were married 3 months after Charity died.
Wow.
But that was kept secret in London because
she was 6 months pregnant.
It wasn't a good look,
No, you don't say.
Yeah. No pregnancy, thankfully.
His last great
What?
But he was
not getting her pregnant.
the time before this, like I said, he got the circus started. He's happy not to go because he likes spending time with the children and the grandchildren.
Yeah, no, it's
But yeah, he so that happened just around this time, so I want to get that out of the way. But so in going back to Jumbo with the circus on tour via railway, Jumbo was also joined by a miniature elephant that, of course, they want to contrast the big with the small, and it's very cute and all. So what do they name that elephant? Of course, Tom Thumb. Right? And
Was the general pissed?
I think it was actually kind of an honor.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because like he's now out of the circus, he's out touring on his own, doing his own thing. But it still keeps him in the lore of the Barnum circus,
right,
Right. And he's arguably maybe the most famous kind of exhibit he ever had. Definitely the one that got him the most kind of face to face with powerful people. So one night in Ontario, they're loading up and Tom Thumb and Jumbo are walking along, and an unannounced train comes, and it just comes barreling through, no warning whatsoever, not scheduled, and they're on the tracks.
Rogue train.
And Jumbo pushes little Tom Thumb out of the way and gets killed, saving little Tom Thumb.
And the train operator can't say he never saw it.
It's a fucking elephant.
Yeah.
3 miles away.
I don't know. It's like the middle of the night too. It's just fucking crazy. But you can imagine.
Did it derail the train? Jesus Christ.
No, I guess not.
Yeah. Wasn't a moose, I guess.
And
That was the end of Jumbo.
That's brutal.
oh no, I'm sorry. It did derail.
Okay.
It did derail. Yeah, and Tom Thumb did still suffer a broken leg.
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
The trainer just laid with Jumbo all night.
Dying? Or did they put dead Jumbo?
Yeah, he just couldn't leave her. So I'm sure the British fucking just loved that.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens?
Yeah, see what happens when you leave the Queen?
Mm-hmm.
So they
The long arm of the long trunk of Buckingham Palace made its way to the States.
So Barnum, of course, stuffs the elephant
Yes, of course.
and still takes it out on tour.
It's like fucking Joe Jackson and Michael.
And the skeleton eventually ends up at the American Museum of Natural History in New York. Yeah, like just the skin alone was like 1,000 pounds or something like that. Something fucking insane. But yeah, that was kind of the last big get that Barnum had, and like I said, this circus is now really kind of taking over, and he finds himself in constant competition with what they called the London Circus, the Royal London Circus. And that was, of course, headed up by Bailey.
Mhm.
And before they got a hold of Jumbo, Barnum was trying to get the elephant that the Royal London Circus had. And so the Royal London Circus put out all these ads showing Barnum's letters being like, here's what Barnum wants. Here's what Barnum wants. Look at this fucking pathetic asshole. We're not going to sell that elephant. Even Barnum wants to see our shit, dude.
Yeah, you got it.
And so Barnum is like, oh my God, they just did the most Barnum thing ever to Barnum.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him kind of be like, okay, well, let's just join.
Put her there.
Yeah. Yeah. And Bailey was a orphan at like 8, just like horribly abused. Much less a public person than Barnum would be, but a really great showman. And Barnum knew it very well. And Bailey would be happy to, not have his name out front, especially if it was in a place that was more favorable to Barnum, like London later on. But he really knew that the circus was in capable hands with Bailey, and he really respected him. And Bailey, was a really anxious person. He was always kind of seen like playing with like a rubber band or a pocket knife and stuff, fidgeting. But he was the kind of person where no detail about the circus was too small for his attention. Like you could come to him with anything.
Rubber bands, pocket knives.
He was business, and he just would be given to I wouldn't say breakdowns, but definitely like having to go away because of his mental health, But like I said, he was like horribly abused, like ass kicked at home, ass kicked at school, and then eventually found his way to a circus showman whose name he took. He was born McGinnis. His name isn't Bailey at all. But because did
he run away to the circus?
I think basically. Yeah. You could in those days,
Yeah.
Just started selling tickets, putting up posters. Yeah. That was it. And then one
of these days, kids are gonna run away to me.
Yeah.
And they'll be horribly abused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they'll run away. Yeah.
But Barnum, during these times of mental turmoil, would write him and just be like, "You're not going to miss any money. You're all taken care of. Just stay home and breathe some air and just get better." Yeah. And he was really kind to him. You know,
you remind me of my ex-wife, or my dead wife.
So he really, was really entering this very like generous stage of his life. He was very, very kind in these later years, especially on his he kept making everything better for the kids, as far as, like I said, making the theaters more safe and making the shows more kid friendly. Kids were always half price to get in, and he was very, very generous, like I said, with people staying at his house and so on and so forth. And really gave back to Bridgeport. Like I said, founded the hospital there, served as like the president on the board. And he is getting older. He's having some heart trouble, but he's the kind of person too where, like, when charity dies, even though obviously he bounces back from it too, it's like a time where it's the kind of person where if you see him even temporarily melancholy, like you're like, it just makes you so sad because he's such an upbeat, cheerful person.
And something must be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just makes you feel for him twice as hard because he's kind of the person that's always cheering everybody else up.
Yeah, if he can't cheer anybody up, who can?
Yeah. One interesting detail, speaking of that I found out about the circus, there was a detail that they said like stops in smaller towns would be affected by the draws, and for instance, like country people wouldn't come out, they said, if there wasn't clowns. Isn't that interesting?
Because they're like, well, it's not blackface, but
yeah, it's something.
Yeah. Country people wouldn't come out
if there wasn't clowns. Yeah, which he probably saw as, I'm trying to wow you with it. Like, anybody can do clowns.
Check out the look on this guy's face. You wouldn't believe how many of these idiots we fit in this car.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
But yeah, he is getting up there in years. He's played with the political thing. He didn't really like it. He did his authored his books about humbugs and money getting, the art of money getting. He was floated as a possible prohibition candidate. They really
For president?
Yeah. Well, keep in mind it's on the come up then.
Yeah.
It's the late 1800s. So it's making traction.
These fucking idiots just couldn't hold their booze, man.
Well, they were drinking a lot of booze.
All these Americans.
They're drinking a lot of booze.
So bad at drinking.
Yeah, but also like it was like a wilier time back then too, with like the kind of shit they were drinking.
Yeah, but I mean the rest of the world was doing it. I mean, and they weren't much better, but like if you maybe it's just a movie thing. It's like, man, if you watch movies about people from like 1890 to 1919, it's like all are horrible drunks.
Yeah, but I mean, like, about like the stuff like Laura was telling me about stuff like when gin took London.
Yeah.
Gin, I mean, that was like a nightmare. It was like the whole town was like always rioting because they were so fucked up on gin.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they haven't always held their liquor.
No, you're right. But still.
Yeah.
Grow up.
Like I said, so he enters into this thing with Barnum and Bailey. They support each other. They spread apart for a while. Sometimes they would be like, all right, you just take the West and I'll take the East. And then they kind of come back together, and then they start saying greatest show on earth. They had
who came up with a jingle?
I don't know.
Some fucking genius.
Mm-hmm.
But they had these great shows where like they showed like the fall of Rome, that these huge sort of kind of
live
plays,
diorama kind of thing.
Yeah, big action filled extravaganzas, and just continuing, always finding talent, always finding a new thing to put in, so it's not the same old shit all the time. And so he's happy to be at home doing that. Like I said, he keeps his marriage hush hush for a while. Then about a year later they have a public wedding. And the author of the book, Barnum, is kind of speculating. He's like, it's hard not to judge him for kind of jumping back in that quickly with such a younger woman. But he's like, I kind of wonder if he was like, can I get away with this kind of thing? Like keeping my reputation and doing something like that. I don't know. I think he's just
Coo sound?
I think he's just an old, cheerful man that
needs somebody around.
He always needs people around.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that. Like there's always a dinner table. Yeah. People have an open invite to his house and like can stay weeks on end. And Charity, when she was alive, was cool with all that too, and very accommodating. And like they'd be like, "Here's slippers, robes,"
Well, she's fucking better with a name like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was the thing too. Did I tell you about her name when he was losing all of his money earlier in his life, when he was ruined, then brought back by everybody, and he was silently like putting stuff in her name. He would say, ironically, "I owe everything to charity."
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think I kind of put more of that on it. I think it's just a guy that likes company. And whatever, more power to him, I guess. And the kids weren't too happy, I think, with the
they were older than her.
Yeah, I think they probably weren't happy more when he dies with how big a slice she got.
Yeah, I bet.
Which is fine, but it's your wife. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Those kids had enough time to make their own money.
Yeah, I mean, shit. This guy fucking sold fake shit his whole life and become a fucking billionaire. You know? What? Guy's just telling lies, fucking making a fortune.
Mm-hmm.
And what did she do?
She married him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Twat. I don't know. She seems like a lovely lady.
Yeah, I'm sure also being in his orbit is a full-time job, too.
Yeah.
He's just so busy, even in old age. Like I said, he's even though he's not going out on the fucking train himself, he's still really busy with the day-to-day and all the finding new talent. Mm-hmm. And, as he approaches the end of his life, he's kind of getting treated by people where they're kind of like looking at him like it's the last time they're going to see him and stuff like that.
Hey.
And he's kind of like, fuck off, man,
That's so funny. Hey, man, Hope you're taking care of yourself.
And he's like, I hope you're taking care of yourself. You know you could die. And that's really how he reacts.
My elephant got hit by a fucking train, man.
Yeah.
What's your
It
excuse?
could happen to anybody.
Look both ways.
Yeah.
But so he's kind of like, I want to have one last big outing, right? And so he takes the show back to London one more time. And, London was huge for him. So many, he found out his wife died while he was there. He found out his daughter died while he was there.
Some of the best moments of his life.
Yeah.
Well, then also Queen Victoria and,
Where'd they do? The Hippodrome? Do you know where they played?
I don't know where they played at
Wasn't
the end.
the O2 Arena.
But that was one where he really he was so beloved. Bailey very much had to take a back seat, which he was totally fine with.
Huh.
And they started calling him that great man Barnum and stuff like that, especially because everybody could get in for like as little as a shilling. Again, children still half. And everybody just adored him. And it was a really beautiful send-off. And, his voice kind of starts cracking when he's talking because he kind of knows it's like the last big thing. And he really feels the love on this trip. And, the Royals all come out. They came every night, despite the jumbo thing. They still love
They
him.
were little jumbo pins.
Yeah. Two of the future kings were there to see this show, and he.
What year is it now?
And this the last trip to London. Let's see. This would be late 1880s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because he doesn't live to see 1892.
Okay.
And he really his career starts his career doesn't start dwindling at all. His health starts dwindling, and he kind of has to come out and say to the public, like, he writes a letter in an advertisement in the New York Times saying like, hey, this is never going to stop in perpetuity. Like, the show will go on forever, which it fucking still is.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it's wild that that's the case. It's wild that he puts that hard of a stamp down from the middle of the 1800s to last into now.
Yeah.
Like, it's really sort of unfathomable. Of course, it's not as big as it was, but it's still
Still Barnum and Bailey's Ring. Well, then they got the Ringling Brothers.
Ringling Brothers, because they all merged eventually. Yeah.
Fucking monopoly, man.
Well, again, it was like, they might only go see one circus a year. They might not see two, so it's better if we're all in it together.
Yeah, because there's a lot more competition.
And then you also have the best of all three circuses, so you get the best show, the greatest show on earth.
Mm-hmm.
But his health is going down, and he's really surrounded by everybody he loves. And the thing I think is maybe the most Barnum-esque is he gets his obituary printed before he dies.
Nice.
He wants that final cut.
He just needs it. It was like I was saying about the Mark Twain thing. Like, he needs the validation. He needs it so bad.
Yeah, you want to have your funeral before you die just to see who shows up.
Yeah,
kind of
right.
thing.
Yeah, it's
very Larry David.
It's so weird though for a guy that when he was ready to be vilified with the opera singer, how he also needs validation other times so badly.
I think the vilification is in service of validation.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And this is real. This is actually about him himself, his person, his legacy.
Yeah.
It's not about the show.
Yeah.
I mean, the narcissist has many ways to skin a cat.
Yeah. But he dies, of eventual heart failure, and he's credited with asking about the receipts for last night's show before he died.
That was his last word?
Yeah, it's credited being one of the last things he said. And then the very next day, fucking the show was still going.
Yeah.
They said like Rome burned down twice the next day.
Oh wow.
You know, like it just like it was still, you know, and like, I guess what's so fascinating to me about this guy, despite a lot of problematic stuff in the background there for sure, but like that he became such an institution to not only New York but entertainment in general is really fascinating to me because like like I said, the part of why I really got so choked up when everybody bailed him out is like I was saying, like you didn't like all you knew was he was getting away with being kind of a charlatan in New York and kind of a charmer, but it wasn't until like he fell on his ass that you saw, and then you saw this huge outreach of everybody saying like, no, we want you here.
Yeah,
we like Barnum. We like this is like a person becoming an institution. Yeah, is a
we hate Spider-Man.
Yeah,
until you try and kill him.
right.
Yeah.
He's our Spider-Man.
Yeah. Only we could kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I truly still find him to be very mysterious because there's so many contradictions and weird things. Like I'm saying about some of his letters to people like Twain. He'd be like, just give me like a blurb on my book because you like it so much, and you'll tell me privately, but you'll never say it publicly because he doesn't want to mix art and personal life.
He's like, I keep getting all these blurbs from Samuel Clemens.
Who's that idiot? Nobody gives a shit who Samuel Clemens
and
is.
It eventually leads to them stopping talking because Barnum is just begging him, and he keeps saying no, and then it's just bumming both of them out, so they just stop being friends. Now, there was another thing, interesting sort of thing that also shows, because like with all of these people, like all the side characters or something I've really focused in on with Barnum, because how he treats them is really what says so much about him and what's so interesting about him. And so, for instance, he had this rivalry publicly with the gentleman that founded the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals.
Oh, the SPCA?
Mm-hmm.
He had a problem.
He had problems with boa constrictors eating live food. And
in general or on stage?
On stage.
Bigger fish to fry. I mean,
well, okay.
Fish. poor choice of words.
But Barnum, like,
it'd be cruel to make the boa constrictor eat a dead one. How about that?
That's what he said. The guy said, he goes, they'll be just as fine eating dead mice or whatever. And Barnum had to bring out like zoologists to be like, will you explain to him that like they're not going to eat dead?
Dude, haven't you seen fucking Jurassic Park? Doesn't want to be fed his food and wants to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the goat?
Plus, yeah, you don't want to teach them to not hunt.
I know. When somebody eventually flushes this fucking boa down the toilet, it's got to figure out how to hunt for its own food.
To eat some turds.
Jesus Christ.
What?
Gentlemen.
This is what happens, man.
John, you lived in Florida.
Yeah. They come out of the toilet.
You give a snake right back, don't you? I hope these snake like corn-eyed brown trout.
Oh my
That's
God.
Taking a dump.
Does sound like him.
Yeah, that does sound like him. What was it? Corn-eyed brown trout?
Yeah.
It's fucking disgusting.
Corn-eyed brown trout.
Oh my God, I hate it.
It's gross, but
it's your favorite
I've never
fish.
heard that
It's a
before.
good name, but it's
Oh,
gross.
really?
It's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, corn-eyed brown trout.
Yeah.
I think it's like the patron fish saint of Ireland.
Yeah, I think it's on my family crest.
It's pretty good.
4 corn-eyed brown trout jumping out of a stream. But so this guy
Billy the big mouth corn-eyed brown trout.
He's like he sees the lions jumping through the ring of fire. Doesn't like that.
Okay. Well, that's more reasonable.
Sure, yeah.
Right, but so Barnum gets a bunch of fucking clowns to start jumping through it to show that it's a chemical thing. It's not like real flame, basically.
Right. It's not hot fire.
Yes, exactly.
But also, hey, people are animals. Aren't
Uh-huh.
worried about their safety?
Yeah, but they go back and forth, and they have this thing, and Barnum put on a whole show just to prove this guy wrong, because again, controversy creates cash.
Yeah.
So then you're sort of doing like the whole humbug thing, and he's doing like, he's like, no, it's not bad for the animals at all. The lions are fine, and
We should be worried about his trains.
The silent killer.
yeah.
It's true. It's sad.
It is, and also,
Very
I mean,
sad.
it should also be said. I know one of the listeners asked me not to get into too much into the animal thing, but it should be said. There was a lot of. There's so much death of animals that takes place in the jungle to get you one animal in a circus.
Right.
Yeah.
So many
that's
others
true.
by the poachers don't make it.
Right.
They're trying to
Yeah,
defend each
There's
other.
a dark economy.
There's a very dark economy, and there's a lot of death to get you to see one tiger.
Yeah. That's the real crime.
Very good. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was really amazed because the two of these guys end up really respecting each other, and they were like really kind of good friends after that, because they were like, they just handled each other with good faith.
Yeah.
They were like, I think this is wrong, and they were saying, I'm hearing you. I don't think it is,
Right.
but I'm gonna like work with you on it, and we'll hash this out in public.
Right.
And
It wasn't mudslinging. It was a real dialogue.
yeah, it was really trying to come to a common understanding, and that was kind of what was great about him. And I think there's a lot of people that see Barnum and want to be Barnum, like Trump wants to be a Barnum. Like I said, Vince McMahon, people like that. But Barnum is so singular, and it's a time before, of course, entertainment changes dramatically. Like it's a show. It's a show. You come out and you see the thing that's crazy, or you see a bunch of things that's crazy. But like I was saying, also there was an interesting thing about, when is it too much? Because like we were saying, with the good thing about the three-ring circus was that don't like what's going on over here, look over there.
Mhm.
But also, what if everything's great? Then you have this sense of FOMO.
And you got to go 2 more times.
Right.
That's a good point, Aaron. Yeah. But yeah, that was the thing too. It was like some people felt like, I don't know if I got the whole show. So
That's what they did with Clue. The movie Clue.
yeah, they gave you 3 endings.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, you got the one where it's fucking Colonel Mustard or whatever,
Yeah.
and we'll come back the next different showing and see where it's Professor
Yeah.
Plum.
Mm-hmm.
And like his personal life with
I think it was a bomb in the theater. So, but anyways,
but it lived on in cable
Certainly
history.
did.
yeah,
Certainly did.
And VHS.
Oh, I love that movie.
With his personal life, with his political life, with his career, it's just really all over the place. His evolution politically, right, from being like a
Mhm.
Dixiecrat to becoming one of the the first
Temperance kind of guy.
and a total abolitionist, and like there's sort of this refrain from people now that when they know it's taken for granted, like the I'll do better once you're in trouble,
Oh yeah. The apology.
the apology thing.
at least it's-
Barnum kind of volunteered that, fucking 200 years before. He was kind of the first person to say that. And he was not, an elected person, but in a way he felt like he was. Because,
elected by the dollar.
yeah. But he also meant it. Like, he did, try to better himself, better his community, make entertainment family friendly, make things cheap enough for everybody to and make sure workers got paid.
Whereas the other Barnums, like your Vince McMahons and Donald Trump,
Right.
made everything. They got worse as they got older.
Yeah,
made
yeah.
everything more expensive, so less people could enjoy their product.
And worked
Yeah.
hard to make sure the people working for them didn't get paid.
Yeah.
Or
That's what
be
they
able,
did.
and the workers, paid for they forgot. They fucked up.
They took the.
They read the
The first
From-
page, yeah. The first page, but not the...
Be loud.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched The Greatest Showman, but I'm going to. The Alamo Drafthouse has they have some rowdy movie showings,
Oh, the ones where you can like shout at the screen.
Yeah. So I guess they did that for The Greatest Showman, and Will, Joe and Jesse's son, like dressed up in a top hat, cane. It's like his favorite movie, and he was like in the aisles, fucking singing along. Going ape shit, dude. And I'm like
Breathing fire.
yeah. Yeah, they were both so proud of him because it's like his favorite movie, and he fucking
my
dressed
gosh.
up and went off.
That's so sweet. No, I mean, if Will likes it,
Yeah,
It's gotta be good.
It's
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman.
it's Wolverine, dude.
Yeah,
He's a huge Jack man.
yeah. But I'm definitely gonna watch it. I will check it out. It's a musical, which is tough, but I'll do it. But I don't know. Tell me what's your make of the man?
Gosh. Well, definitely the prototype for the face of the company, like the owner of the thing being part of the thing.
Yes.
As much of Stalin would say, "I am the state," right? Like the state is me.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think Stalin took it fucking from Barnum. Or I mean, who's another version of this? Is Steve Jobs.
Mhm.
Steve Jobs was not just the face of Apple. He was Apple.
Right.
So much he left and came back and brought it back from the dead and it made it this whole
Died from apples.
this cult of personality thing.
Mhm.
Pelted by apples.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that he got that pancreas cancer for being a fruitarian.
Yeah.
Eating too many apples.
Oh wow. Is that
Yeah, he went on a weird fruitarian diet, and all the doctors were like, dude, stop just eating only fruit. You're going to fucking die. Like, fructose is very hard to process for the
Yeah.
body.
He's trying to reach Fruitopia.
When it was just right there under the cap.
I know. Yeah,
Just pop the top.
Just go get it.
Yeah, Also, everybody knows Fruitopia is like fail.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
One man's Fruitopia is another man's Pistopia.
Yeah.
it's an old Greek joke.
So yeah, like
Pistopia.
Yeah.
Pystopian future.
oh gosh. So yeah, I mean I didn't know really anything about him other than
Circus guy.
being the circus guy and the barker, the man who played the media to his favor. No publicity.
You did know that.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, I didn't
I mean,
know
not to the extent with the
I-
details,
Yeah,
but
I didn't know the extent of the writing letters for and against.
Yes.
To make it seem
that-
like there was just constant
Brilliant.
controversy.
Mhm.
I mean, that's somebody who figures out this new medium before anybody else does. And
Yes.
goes, hey, it's just like there's when Instagram comes out, somebody figures out how to game that,
Mhm.
and Twitter, somebody figures out how to game that and get all these followers, and really just gets it before everybody else does, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know, really anything about like the charity stuff, not the wife charity, but like the donating money.
Yeah.
More than
Yeah. Jenny Lynn.
purposely staying out of the spotlight
Yeah.
in some ways, and then hogging it in others.
Yeah.
Um,
Jenny Lind also, by the way, it should be said, was so big that they would have clothing that was just based on her clothing, and they would call it Jenny Lind style stuff. Like it was massive. It was such a phenomenon. I didn't realize, like I said at the beginning of all this, that it was so middle of the 19th century.
right. Yeah, I thought it was I thought it was post Civil War. Like the
Yeah.
bulk of it was post Civil War.
Yeah, I imagined it being more 1880s, 1890s.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
kind of like
right,
what you
right.
think of when you're thinking of cartoons or movies.
And that is more when the circus itself starts, but Barnum
he's the guy who.
as a showman,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it far predates that.
The other thing I guess is that I really kind of was the stuff all the quotes that were attributed to him.
Yeah,
Sucker born every minute.
yeah.
Mhm.
Nobody ever went broke underestimating the stupidity of the American people. I don't even know if that's him, but I know it's attributed to him.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Or
I would
H.L. Mencken, I think.
I would say those Sucker Born Every Minute is the main one that's attributed to him. Never
Probably never said it.
probably never said it. More likely that it was said by people like I said from the New York Herald that didn't like him, things like that.
I never met a tiny little fucking miniature person I didn't like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of true.
Doesn't fit on a.
No, yeah, it's a little too specific too.
He did always have a new little person.
Yeah.
He always did.
Well, when the shit fits.
And then you put a fancy like you
Put him in a fucking.
make him the count or
Yeah.
the fucking Commodore. Or
Whatever.
the
People
dude,
loved
a
it.
marquee.
whatever. Matt, what's your take on Barnum?
Well, yeah, no, again, I didn't know he started so early with the 160-year-old woman stuff. I knew about the museum. We talked about the traveling barges on Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because also he would have some of that plate spinning stuff,
Yes,
like that
yes.
sort of shit.
Which they still do
Yeah.
at the circus.
But it's I think it's I was gonna say something like it's amazing how well he fits the American mythos.
Yes.
But it certainly seems like he helped define that.
Yeah.
Because just by being himself, starting from kind of nothing, creates this giant, big production, becomes famous for all of these non-traditional things he's doing.
And then
Right.
being famous for being famous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
And,
is
th-
the most American thing you can do.
and then lasting so long that people's grandkids are...
Marrying him.
But if you have a grandson who wants to go to see the Barnum Circus, you can tell him
Yeah.
about the Barnum Circus you saw.
Yeah.
Right.
And so to last so long and to be seemingly overall a decent guy,
Yeah.
which is charming, considering how many scoundrels. But also, he was so good at using the media, and you hear about that something like with Ben Franklin did that.
Yeah.
Abe Lincoln did that in the the Lincoln Douglas debate.
Right.
Using the newspaper, this new
It's
national newspaper.
It's the internet of your time.
yeah, and
It's the internet coming out, and you go like, "What can I do with this?" And you go like,
Write stuff in it.
yeah, like, and also have a problem
Yeah.
because problems get attention,
Yeah.
and complaining gets attention, and so you can, if you complain on both sides, then you got everybody's spoiling for a fight, and everybody's reading the paper. There's fuck all else to do.
No.
You got to read the fucking paper.
What else are you doing?
yeah.
So then you're like, oh man, people are fucking freaking out about this new Barnum thing.
I guess I got to freak out.
Yeah. But I also think what you're saying about, I don't know if he created, I think he took the time-honored thing that was already a thing in America of bullshitting and fraud. There's always been hucksters and money getters, and like I said, in regard to his thing of attacking, the mediums and spiritualists and things like that, he was like, he was very much against that. He really only thought that chicanery was acceptable if somebody's still left with something of value, right? Whether it's laughter or feeling like they learned something, or they feeling like
Egress.
Yeah.
feeling like they got maybe
They got their money's worth.
they got their money's worth in some way. There's
Right,
some
right.
kind of value to it.
But I don't mean the chicanery. I mean there's this idea of America that no matter who you are, you can rise up and make great things happen.
Oh yeah,
And also a land of magic. The Wild West shows would mythologize a world that didn't really fit what the story they were telling.
And they would use the people who were actually in those
Yes.
tales, right? Like,
yeah,
And so Barnum was the guy who was in all of the Barnum tales too.
right.
And so his mythos kept building.
Yeah.
And at a time when America was still growing.
Yeah.
And so he just he slotted in naturally to the story that Americans wanted to tell too.
Right. Yeah. And there's a thing too where, like I said, there was a class. There was a problem of people thinking he was an up jump and like, what are you doing here? How are you meeting royalty? Who do you think you are? And he just never took himself that seriously. And there was the kind of thing where, like I said, even the Vanderbilts, they bailed him out and stuff like that, or wanted to, or offered to. Their kind of thing was to be the rich person that hides it all.
Right.
And
right.
Barnum
right,
was the kind of guy that's like, I'm going to build this insane thing and call it Iranistan,
right.
and then invite everybody over. You know what I mean? So it's different in that way too.
Yeah.
Like, like the Carnegies and all that, they have like they're great monuments to their own wealth that they only have like 13 people see, and they're all disgusting.
Yeah.
And Barnum was very much like, hey, come check it out.
Check this out.
We made this crazy thing.
Right.
And
It's new money shit.
Yeah,
Nouveau riche stuff, but it's endearing.
You got to take part in his grandeur.
There's never a time where you hear about him being like, oh, don't let those people in here or anything like that.
Because those people are what got you here.
Yeah.
Right? And the same is true for people like the Vanderbilts or the Carnegies, is that other people got you there.
Yes.
Right? But you just have a different way of looking at it. I think we may have mentioned in the last episode or the one prior, do you see him, I'm kind of seeing him as a bit of a Wonka.
Yeah.
Right? Like the showman, I mean, he's not, eventually Wonka went reclusive, and that's the plot of But, by the time Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory begins, he's a known entity. He's legendary. He was the man. He was awesome. He was great. He was out there. He was doing the things. He would go find little people from all over the world, right? And he's got
it's got to be partly based on
it's gotta be, right? So that
I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
I'm seeing him as this kind of Wonka figure, and his life kind of went that way. He became down and out, and the public brought him back. He's just like kind of what would you call? What are they called? Folk heroes.
Yeah,
like Pecos Bill or Davy Crockett or Paul Bunyan or John Henry, or it's kind of like there's that was the guy when you think of the American showman.
Yeah,
it's him and Will Smith. I mean, the guy was triple threat, quadruple if you count slaps.
Yeah, true. I really was so taken with how he did take care of talent, and I think it was kind of like maybe at first he it probably was like I can get him for low, but then he always kept doubling the salaries once the tickets were selling, so he probably got more profit up front when it started, but then he had to let them know, like, you're valuable, I don't want to lose you. You obviously can tell how many people are coming to see you. You know the price of admission.
I'm going to make more money keeping you with me than losing you to somebody else.
Yeah. And then because people are talking about it, more people want to go see, they've heard about it from this person. But, I never came across a performer that was, like, unhappy about their dealings with him. And he was dealing obviously in a very exploitative industry.
Yeah.
So I was really charmed by that, and I think overall, just like the sense of humor of it all, because in a way he's always playing a joke on the public to some extent, and like how much glee that got him, and his background and pranks being a big thing in his family, and bullshitting each other, and kind of it all being about the laughs. And all that, like I found that very endearing. Yeah, it's really singular in a way.
Yeah. I mean, even the chicanery is also a lot of it is so absurd that if you do believe it, like, come on. But if you don't believe it, it's still fun for you to see the process.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you go to a magic show. Part of the contract is, listen, I'm not superhuman. This is not supernatural shit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna narrate it as if it is.
Yeah.
You and I both know, and it's not fun when somebody there goes, that's fake. You didn't really,
Yeah.
It's part of the shared delusion that you're having.
I know it's fake, but I still want to see it.
I still want to see it. It's impressive.
But then there's this thing too, right? And this is what makes it really fucking fun. Is like there's some things that are true.
Yeah,
like Jenny Lind is really singing.
Yeah.
Tom Thumb is really that size.
That elephant's really an elephant.
Yeah, so there's this thing where it's like, here's the new hype thing. And sometimes it's bullshit, sometimes it's not. So that's even more exciting.
Yeah.
Because you gotta go and figure out if it's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And then it became a thing. Like I said, like, where they still thought that Commodore Nut was Tom Thumb in disguise. Like, people just like, Even when you put them next to each other, they were like, "Come on, stop fucking around. That's Tom Thumb, dude." You know,
I don't know who this fucking imposter is.
Yeah.
That's Tom Thumb. The logic there is like, there's two of them.
Yeah.
So if one, okay, let's say that is Commodore Nutt is Tom Thumb. Who's the other guy?
the other guy?
Isn't that just as impressive?
Yeah, shouldn't he be a colonel or something?
Right.
Yeah. Lieutenant.
Yeah,
The Prestige.
but that's a whole other level too, because again, it's same things with the Barnum Museum, right? There would be real, honest to goodness, educational, historical stuff, and then there would be stuff that was bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, so that whole thing is challenging you too, right?
Yeah, and the curation of that has to be very carefully thought out. Like I would imagine that, you don't. There's a musicality to it. Like,
Yeah,
you don't
sure,
want to
yeah.
front load it with like real shit and then have all the bullshit at the end, or vice versa. You want to be like, oh, dude, fuck, check this out. This is a Gila monster, and there's a fucking elephant with huge tusks, and then here's a fake mermaid. Like you want to
Right.
there's a rhythm to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would imagine, going through
yeah,
the maze or whatever, however you set it up.
Yeah.
There's a whole, there's a dance to be had.
right. Well, it's like that thing in advertising too, or even news reporting, where it's going like, they'll say things like, police seized what may have been tons of cocaine and heroin. You're like, well, it may have been. It might have been fucking baby powder.
Yeah. But the police
You know?
saw it.
But they'll say things like that to just throw up hype.
Yeah.
Like everybody took on things like that. So I think that's part of how you sell it too. You go like, this one guy says this. But that's one guy
Yeah.
saying something. The
And
other,
this stodgy old scientist says it's fake.
But yeah, he also like he really showed great, amazing talents, great, amazing, exotic things. But he threw in some bullshit and had some fun with it, and I think also was hopefully trying to make the American public aware of how they can get snowed, which is a noble thing in and of itself.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
Interesting. No, that is noble. I didn't consider the educating the masses on snake oil sales.
Yeah, and which is important, especially because people in America fucking fall for that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I still get chain emails.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like when Fox would do like the Masked Magician. Show you
Yeah.
show you how they did all the tricks.
Yeah.
It was no fun.
No, it was definitely not as much fun as the trick.
Real, yeah. But it was all right.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's provocative.
Yeah, his admitting also to being wrong for such a public person
Yeah.
is also very singular, and also not at all Vince McMahon or Donald Trump.
Not at all.
Like
Yeah, one of the many
honestly
lessons they missed.
volunteering, like that thing of like saying I'll do better.
Yeah, he did that 100 years before anybody.
He
else. 150.
200, yeah, and he was like, especially on the question of abolition too, and saying like I owned slaves and I whipped my slaves and I should be whipped myself for having done it.
Any takers?
Just kind of like obviously I'm not pro temperance, but him admitting that he was kind of always shit faced and then stopping it and then preaching it, even though that could have turned a lot of people off. Being that pro Lincoln could have turned a lot of people off.
Yeah.
So there was times where he was fine with putting the dollar last if he thought it was in the general good for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's why I think people actually look to him to run for office.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that he just found it so gross, politics. You know what I mean? Even though he's doing like a demi-politic kind of thing himself in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he's like, I do the circus. Which,
this is a fucking circus.
Yeah. Like the circus is real, but we pretend it's fake, kind of. But with politics, it's fake, we pretend it's real, or some other way around. Yeah. But for him to go like, oh, I thought we're supposed to take this seriously. We took the circus more seriously than you guys do politics.
Right, and in politics is actually more of a show than the circus is, right?
You know what's crazy about him too is that like he almost leaves.
You wouldn't last a second with Commodore Nut. Or General Tom Thumb, for that matter. I bid you adieu.
Or the baby elephant Tom Thumb.
Yeah.
With his bum leg.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Jumbo.
Oh.
Smart animals.
Yeah.
They grieve they're dead.
You know, Jumbo used to be housing whiskey.
That's so cool.
And in that time, it was like, Barnum was really, about sobriety.
Well, not for the elephants.
So he pushed the elephant in front of the train.
Yeah.
No,
See what
they
happens.
weaned him onto like beer, and then they eventually got him sober. But I was thinking,
Wow.
I was like, man, I wonder, can the elephant black out if they're supposed to remember everything?
Oh,
Is he
no.
like, yeah, no,
It's a lot of whiskey.
he would house food and whiskey.
It's just not fair to drink with an elephant.
Yeah, it's like drinking with Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you got the DTs, you see pink elephants for some reason.
So did when the elephant would get DTs, did he see little tiny Tom Thumbs?
There was one British general,
A real one.
yes, that was still alive that had faced Napoleon
At the time.
at the time and then saw Tom Thumb's show in London and met him backstage, and Tom Thumb's pacing around and he's all fucked up and he's like muttering.
Off of a thimble of
Eh,
whiskey.
No. And the general goes, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "Waterloo." The dude fucking lost his mind.
Oh, that's so funny.
Because he was like at Waterloo.
Yeah. How did I do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Barnum, incredibly fascinating character. I don't know. Do you guys have any other questions or anything? Or?
No, I mean, he did 3 fucking episodes on the guy. He pretty much covered it all. It was great. It's just, I think it's somebody we don't talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Very
Far reaching consequences.
Yeah.
For advertising,
Media.
showmanship, media. You would think.
And so early. Like, I really didn't
you would think-
realize it was so early.
you would think far more scurrilous a person because
Certainly, yeah.
because of
Because of all the imitators.
yeah
Yeah, because of all the people that gave it a bad name.
Yes, exactly.
All the Nightmare Alleys and
Yeah.
whatnot.
The circus itself does have a very heavy exploitative.
It's the circus,
Yeah.
man. Like it's I think that was my preconceived notion was that he was much more exploitative than he actually was.
yeah.
But that's really
However, it
just
again, it does have to be say it was inherently very exploitative to anybody that couldn't speak, meaning animals.
Yeah.
of course, and it still is. But my preconceived notion is really a consequence of the people who did the circus after,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
with the freak shows and the geek shows and the peep shows and the whatevers, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially
So
the
I
peep
was happy
shows.
to learn a little bit about that.
Matt, do you have anything?
No, I mean, I think just no questions, just compliments. I really enjoyed that.
Couple of notes.
It's actually pronounced Burnham.
Yeah, I really loved learning about this guy. I watched a ton of documentaries, but I listened to that Barnum book on Audible. It's just called Barnum, and yeah, I listened to it like 3 times, and
Whoa.
it's just great. There's so many just quirky little interactions. And
Did he ever meet Lincoln?
oh yeah, we talked about it.
We did?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember he came in
Tom
with
Thumb.
Commodore Nut in the fucking war room?
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Fucking got up on the table and started pointing fingers at everybody.
Oh my God, yeah, I forgot.
And then, he met Mrs. Lincoln and the children once because he kind of threw in hard behind Lincoln, and Lincoln was running at the time, so he wasn't able to come himself. But Mrs. Lincoln and the children came to the show, and like I said, he shook Lavinia's hand after the big wedding to Tom Thumb, and he also when Garfield became president, he ominously wrote to him. He's like, "All I wish is that you would just live." And then he got shot. Garfield got shot. Yeah, he would have had the ability to meet any president, basically.
Yes. I mean, he's meeting queens,
Yeah,
kings.
yeah. And Grant would give him like a hat and stuff when he rebuilt the Byrne Museum. He's like, "Oh,
wow.
put this in
a
there."
hat.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, like his own hat.
Yeah, not just a
Here's a I'm with stupid hat.
No, a fucking hat he wore during the war,
They
man.
like, gave him like a hat. Like, hey, it says fucking the White House on it. There's a box of M&Ms too. White House M&Ms.
Yeah, no, and I think it's really crazy in the way that I didn't realize, with the wedding being the prime example, that there was entertainment that could take the Civil War off the front page of the fucking New York Times.
Yeah.
Like, that is wild.
Yeah.
It also shows fatigue, of course, with the war. You would rather hear about something else.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but like,
Cheer.
Barnum was the show. That was the show, and
That would be like if the war in Ukraine
Mhm.
and the Middle East was popping off, and then the New York Times was like, Avengers Secret Wars dominates at the box office. Front page.
yeah, two tiny people get married.
Cool.
I'm hoping that's how it happens.
Yeah.
I hope they knock that shit off the front page.
Yeah. And like I said, there was the exploitative quality of, like, he also knows everybody is thinking about them fucking.
Oh,
And
the tiny people?
Yeah, and he's not dissuading you. He's like, that's fine, think about it. We've all thought about it. But he also knows there's a bunch of people that are going to be like, oh, that's so cute. Oh, they found their other little person.
As they should. Yes.
Yeah. And it is. It's fucking adorable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really loved reading about this guy. I was heartbroken so many times. The showing of love for him from people in New York of all stripes. Understanding how New York is and was, especially with people like this, probably learned from him. Don King is another person that kind of goes
Son of a bitch.
into this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Guy that makes big claims, says a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. Muhammad Ali would have learned.
Yes, right.
That thing. And then knowing that all the New Yorkers are going to be around fucking compressed in this one city and being like, is it bullshit? Is it not bullshit? I don't think it is. I think it is. And then knowing that it's just going to whip up all this thing. And it almost circumvents the need for a reporter. Because Barnum's going to talk.
Yeah.
He'll answer questions.
He'll write both sides of the argument.
He'll write both sides
Yeah.
of the argument. You know what I mean? He'll come back and say, oh, there's a new development.
Yeah.
And all they got to do is just fucking scribble down everything he says.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really, really wild. And his keen intuition to know what people want and when they want it and how they want it.
Yeah, that's a superpower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And knowing that, like, entertainment needs to change, sort of a Disneyfication, pre-Disney Disneyfication of entertainment.
Yeah, they would steal fucking Jumbo, turn into Dumbo.
That's right.
Yeah, and also understanding these drunks don't got any money. The family, they got a plan, they got kids to take care of, like, they want to go out, they want to see something,
Yeah.
they have money, they're doing stuff,
Yeah.
right? So we got to bring them in.
Mm-hmm.
And then also,
We got to get them not drunk so they have money to spend.
Right.
yeah, and then also the kids, like you said, can tell their kids, I went to the circus, I went to Barnum's Circus, we're going to go again. It's the greatest show on earth. Barnum's long fucking dead, you know what I mean? My grandfather's still taking me to the circus. He came here and saw it when Barnum was long dead.
Right.
Now he's taking me, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a thing.
It's a right. It's a rite of passage.
Yes,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Or with the closest thing you have now is sport, is like baseball, right?
Yeah,
Or,
right.
Or football or basketball or whatever. Not soccer. But I think there's something very sweet and important about that,
Mm-hmm.
about like continuing that tradition. And like you said, the show must go on.
Yeah. And like I'm trying to think of other people whose singular kind of craft extended long after they were dead in the same way.
Tupac.
Yeah, but that's not a show you go to.
Dude, I went to Coachella. They had a fucking hologram.
Did you? Did you see the Tupac hologram?
I was there.
Wow.
Do you talk to him?
Underwhelming.
Really?
The Tupac hologram. You don't say.
Yeah.
Stupid. Did he take a
Damn, you're disrespectful.
Did he take a Fruitopia break? Hold on, I need to take some Fruitopia. God.
It was OE or something.
Yeah.
So disrespectful.
What?
Not you. The hologram.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I mean, it was just cool. Check this out. It came out of nowhere. Nobody asked for it.
Yeah. I suppose Elvis too is another thing.
Yes, Elvis. Elvis, a good one.
Yeah,
Yep.
Elvis is really one. Like, how many impersonators?
Right.
We made movie Leaving Las Vegas. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's fucking million Elvis impersonators fucking parachuting and shit.
Yeah.
That's and then you got like tribute bands and stuff like that. But
Yeah, no, but the thing just continuing in earnest after his death, and obviously it diminishes as time goes on. Entertainment gets more fucking spread out or whatever. I'm sure it's a tiny operation now, almost comparatively, but it lasted so fucking long,
Yeah.
and people just loved it so much.
yeah, until TV, movies.
Yeah, I mean, I still went when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's definitely better in person than seeing it on TV.
Yeah, if you see a guy in a motorcycle with a little steel ball going ape shit, it's fucking cool, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Cirque du Soleil is still that's the thing to see in Vegas
Yeah.
or Shenyun
Yeah.
in Los Angeles.
Oh,
But that's,
boy, yeah.
that's also like a whole different ball game.
Yes,
So,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Financed by right wing
Mhm.
Chinese
Yeah.
Fulan Gong or whatever.
Isn't it from Montreal?
Mm-mm.
No, Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du
Yes,
Soleil.
So
yes.
the Shenyun is it's the Chinese Cirque du Soleil.
Oh.
And they advertise around LA all year round basically. And it's the far right Chinese true like capitalists financed by the Fulan Gong
Mm-hmm.
to basically show like fucking China sucks, we rule kind of thing.
Whoa.
Right? Is that
There's definitely propaganda playing during it.
yeah, it's I mean
I don't know which way it goes.
It's kind of like how Cuba like exports a lot of doctors.
Uh-huh.
It's like this China before communism is what the with the Shenyun.
Oh, really?
That's what I understand it to be, but I know it's financed by far right Chinese interests.
right.
Doesn't mean that the show's not great.
It also doesn't mean that pre-communist China was a walk in the park.
No,
No, I mean, there's no parks to walk through.
Yeah.
and also China's not communist.
Right, exactly,
right,
yeah. All right, gentlemen. Well, I hope you enjoyed that.
I really enjoyed that, John. I'm really glad you did that.
Yeah, I loved learning about this guy.
So did I.
I was charmed by him. I really was.
Yeah.
So many
absolutely.
people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're not the first.
Yeah. You're waiting to find more bad there, and the
Yeah.
bad is really out front.
Right.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you kind of
Because
find
he grew as a person.
He did, yeah, which is also quite charming.
Rare in our business.
Yeah.
yeah, and rare to say publicly I was wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to learn.
Mhm.
So, all right, I'm gonna call it there, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm gonna say goodnight. My name is John Fahey.
I am Aaron Pita.
Remember so.
Good night, everybody. We love you.
Good night.